Perfect is the enemy of good enough, and nowhere is it more true than when it comes to intentional weight loss. Being a perfectionist will stop you and will get in the way of you losing weight and keeping that weight off long term too, which is paradoxical because most people think that when they're perfectionists, they're going to set really high standard goals and they're going to stick to them forever. But being a perfectionist means that you're much more likely to get tangled up in the all or nothing cycle. And in this video, I'm going to explain to you why that happens, and I'm going to give you 3 steps that you can follow that you've never heard before to be able to break out of that and to be able to actually move towards intentional weight loss. And no other fitness coach is going to give you this advice because no other fitness coach is me. For those of you who don't know me, hi, my name is Clara. I'm a sport and exercise psychologist and a fitness coach, and I've been working in the fitness industry for over half a decade, helping people, perfectionists just like you, break out of the all or nothing cycle so they can move towards intentional weight loss compassionately and finally stop this gaining and losing weight cycle that they've been on for years, keep the weight off forever, and feel 1,000 times better within themselves. And now, if you're a perfectionist watching this, you must have asked yourself a million times before, why is it that even though you're a perfectionist, you still can't stick to your weight loss goals? I know how frustrating it is to have the set of standards that you want to follow and yet observe yourself consistently either being 1,000% in it or completely and utterly off it. And as a psychologist, the question that I always ask, or the thing that I always assume about a situation, is that it makes sense in context. So the thing that I want us to think about now is almost like flipping the question on its head and going, why are you setting perfectionistic goals for weight loss in the first place? And the answer is that you're setting those perfectionistic goals to compensate for a self-esteem that is absent, that is lacking, that is not good enough. And the perfectionistic goal setting compensates for that, because in your head, when you imagine yourself setting these perfectionistic high standard goals, you are picturing yourself in this imaginary future having achieved that, being away from how you feel right now. We set perfectionistic goals because they are so far away from where we are right now, these high standards, this imaginary, I'm going to be doing all of these things and I'm going to completely transform my life. We set those goals because we want to get as far away as we can from how we feel right now, which is not good enough. Perfectionistic goals are a means of compensating, of getting away, of getting rid of a low self-esteem. And that's why we set perfectionistic goals, because it appeases the part of our ego that doesn't feel good enough right now. And it's all fine and well. However, when we set goals from a place of not feeling good enough, we are setting goals from a perfectionistic concern. There's a distinction in psychology between perfectionistic striving, moving towards doing really well, and perfectionistic concern, moving away from being a failure. When we don't feel good enough to begin with, we set goals from a place of perfectionistic concern. And what that means is that the way that we set those goals is incredibly rigid, and we expect nothing but the best from ourselves. Why? Because when we fail, or should we fail, essentially the feelings that we're trying to escape of not being good enough are going to meet us right in the face, and it's going to be very unpleasant. It's going to elicit a lot of shame, and that's the thing that we're trying to avoid by setting those perfectionistic goals in the first place, right? But because those goals are so perfectionistic, are so high standard, are so rigid, they're essentially not tailored to meet you where you're at right now. They're not tailored to actually be functional for life unless you develop a quite dysfunctional relationship with food and with exercise, in which case it's a completely different story, and you should definitely click the link in the description to work with me if that is what you're experiencing right now. But when we set goals from this perfectionistic concern space, we will eventually encounter failure because we were not setting ourselves up to succeed in the first place anyway. And when we encounter that failure, the shame that we were trying to escape from the beginning is going to rise up. It's going to meet us. We're going to feel 100 times worse. And that is when you press the fuck it button. And that is why you cannot stick to weight loss goals, because every time you make one little mistake, every time there is even the smallest of infractions from the rules that you've set for yourself, you're going to feel so shit about yourself that you're going to press the fuck it button. Not because you're stupid, not because you're lacking in discipline, but because when you press the fuck it button, you are literally getting rid of the goals. And when you get rid of goals, then you cannot fail. You cannot experience the shame of failure because there are no goals to fail from, right? There are no goals to be failing at. Therefore, you cannot experience the shame of failure. So it makes sense. It's a very useful way in the short term to prevent experiencing that feeling of not good enough that you're trying to escape in the beginning anyway. And that's why being a perfectionist gets in the way of weight loss, because it means that the way that you set the goals is setting you up to fail. And when you fail, you press the fuck it button and you self-sabotage. And more often than not, the way that you're going to self-sabotage if you're trying to lose weight is by overeating and or by completely ghosting the gym, ghosting any form of exercise. And that could go on for a day, it could go on for a week, it could go on for weeks, it could go on for months. I don't know, but if you're watching this video and if you've made it up until this point, something tells me that you've been around the cycle about a million times and that you're ready to break out of it. Because of course, the minute that you realize that you fucked it completely, there will come a point in which you decide that enough is enough. You feel 1,000 times more disgusted at yourself, 1,000 times worse about yourself. So that feeling of not good enough is amplified again. And then guess what? You almost have this even bigger compulsion to get rid of how you feel, which instigates the reason for setting these perfectionistic goals again. That's how that cycle repeats itself, and that's why until you address the root cause of the perfectionism, you're going to stay stuck. And that is why approaching intentional weight loss with perfectionism is never going to work, and in fact might even lead to you gaining weight over time. So what's the solution? The solution is to build your self-esteem so that perfectionism is no longer required. And no other fitness coach is talking about this, because no other fitness coach is a psychologist, but I am. This is why my clients work with me, because we are addressing the actual reason for why they cannot stick to their weight loss goals. Other coaches will give you a macro plan, a check-in sheet and workouts and tell you that that's what you need to get on with and just stick to it and you'll be fine. I do that, and I provide you with the psychological support to basically understand what's going on under the surface, address that, and with the training and with the coaching support, you can then start taking those steps while also not thinking that there's something wrong with you for not being able to stick to the plan and that there's something wrong with your willpower, when I know that this is what you've wanted for as long as you can remember. I'm not going to insult you by pretending that you don't want this bad enough. I know how bad you want this. I just know that there's bigger factors at play that are getting in the way of you not being able to stick to your weight loss goals. So in order to build your self-esteem, there's 3 core steps that you need to follow. The first step is you have to spend time understanding yourself. You have to think about why it is that your self-esteem is not good. What has happened in your life that has led to your self-worth being so shit that you essentially don't even feel like you deserve to intentionally lose weight, or that you feel so terrible in yourself that nothing less than perfect is going to be good enough for you, because you just need to get rid of those feelings of self-disgust that you have. So you need to spend time understanding yourself, understanding how that self-sabotage cycle manifests for you and how it repeats itself for you. And you need to start paying attention to how you speak to yourself, which also forms part of essentially learning to understand yourself a bit better. The second thing that you're going to have to do is you're going to have to learn to forgive yourself. And I know it sounds super cringy, and that you maybe even feel like you deserve to be punished, that you deserve the sabotage, that you don't even deserve to be happy. How could you forgive yourself when you keep fucking up? Let me tell you this. You have never tried to forgive yourself for fucking up, and it has never helped you to continue to punish yourself. So why not try forgiving yourself? Why not try recognizing that there's probably a lot of things that have happened in your life that have led to you having a shit self-esteem that were not your fault, that were not your choice, and yet they still impacted you. Why are you blaming yourself for that? Learn to forgive yourself for the things that you find difficult. Learn to forgive yourself for finding it hard to stick to calorie deficit. Learn to forgive yourself for finding intentional weight loss incredibly challenging. It is not your fault, but it is your responsibility to do something about it. But without attuning yourself to the fact that this is hard, and without forgiving yourself for the fact that you've suffered through this for so many years, you're not going to go anywhere. And the final thing that you need to do, which I know is going to make you cringe, is learn how to care for yourself. Nobody who genuinely cares about themselves is busy binge eating until they feel like they can't even move from the sofa. They're not busy avoiding exercise consistently. They're not busy hating on themselves in the mirror every single day. Nobody who cares for themselves is doing those things. Nobody who cares for themselves is consistently struggling with intentional weight loss. Why? Because caring for yourself means that you're able to do the things that are going to move you towards the things that matter to you, which in this case is intentional weight loss. And unless you learn how to care for yourself, which is of course linked to your self-esteem, you're not going to be able to move away from the self-sabotaging cycle. You're not going to be able to move away from setting perfectionistic goals, and you will remain stuck for I don't even know how many more years. And are you really willing to let yourself do that, especially having watched this video up until this point? The good news for you though is that by watching this video, you are now finding out that I've created a 4-week self-esteem builder that you can download completely for free if you go to the description and click on the link there for the self-esteem builder. Because I know that following those steps to build your self-esteem are a lot easier said than done, and I've created the perfect 4-week program that you can follow step by step that's going to help you build that self-esteem from the ground up so that you can finally commit to intentional weight loss. Like I said, the fact that you keep pressing the fuck up button is not a matter of lack of discipline or a matter of lack of willpower or self-control or anything like that. You keep doing that because you're a perfectionist, and until you address your self-esteem, you're not going to be able to stop setting yourself perfectionistic goals. So if you're ready to focus on intentional weight loss, and you know but it's your mindset that's getting in the way. You have tried the diets, you've tried the coach, you've tried the calorie counting, and it's still not been enough. Head over to the link in the description and download the 4-week self-esteem builder today, because it is literally designed for you. And I've put everything that I've learned helping hundreds of people just like you break out of that cycle to finally focus on intentional weight loss and actually succeed and be able to maintain that weight loss over time. So start your self-esteem building journey today. As always, if you've got any questions, make sure to contact me either on Instagram or via email. You can find all the links in the description. And thank you so much for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.